You are watching KEVU 25 News Now at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Amaya Norman.
And I'm Trenton Whiting. ICE protest activity reached close to home today in Victoria as residents from the Crossroads gathered for an afternoon demonstration at the Patty Dotson Public Health Center. Participants said they showed up because they relate to issues being protested in Minneapolis and other cities where nationwide anti-ICE demonstrations were held following the fatal shootings of civilians by federal immigration agents.
Very concerned about what's happening in our country and what's happening in our communities, and I feel very blessed that we have a community that we can come out and speak our mind, because there's a number of people that are concerned that don't feel like they have a voice. The things that we see, that we're all seeing, the videos that we can't unsee, I've never seen a policeman do the things that ICE does.
Some protesters told us they are concerned about aggressive immigration enforcement and don't want similar operations in the Crossroads, even though Texas hasn't yet seen actions on the same scale of Minnesota.
And hundreds of students in Texas took to the streets on Friday as part of a nationwide day of protests against immigration and custom enforcement operation. The demonstration, tied to the broader national shutdown movement opposing recent federal immigration enforcement actions, drew young people out of classrooms and into public view from San Antonio to Austin, Waco, and Fort Worth. These actions come aim wide-ranging national protests against ICE, with thousands taking part in rallies.
Now, an update on those ICE protests in Minneapolis, demonstrators voicing their opposition to the raids and deportations.
ABC's Ika Jachi in Minneapolis with how those events unfolded, plus what Homeland Security Kristi Noem is now saying.
At high noon today, across the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, church bells ringing out with renewed calls for ICE to get out of their communities. Anti-immigration enforcement protests planned all across the country this weekend. Today in Minneapolis, demonstrators targeting Target.
We are here inside one of the many Targets in Minneapolis where dozens of protesters have decided to hold a sit-in, making their voices heard.
The retail giant headquartered here. Protesters urging the corporation to take a stand with them. We shall not be moved. And against the immigration crackdown. Target states it does not have any agreements with immigration enforcement agencies. Today, a memo obtained by ABC News says ICE agents can now arrest someone for being in the U.S. illegally without a warrant if an officer feels he or she is likely to escape. But a judge in Texas today ordering the release of 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos and his father from detention. Liam was pictured standing alone in the cold, swept up in an ICE raid in Minneapolis almost 2 weeks ago. A week ago today, federal border agents shot and killed Alex Preddy.
The FBI is leading the investigation.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem came under fire for the agency's response and the characterization of Preddy as a domestic terrorist. Today, Noem standing behind
Steve,
ICE operations in Minneapolis.
We're going to continue to try to work with the local law enforcement and the leadership in Minnesota to do that, to make that community safer.
And in Minnesota today, in honor of Alex Preddy, hundreds of cyclists braved sub-freezing temperatures in a memorial ride. Some 200 solidarity rides planned for cyclists around the country and around the world. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Minneapolis.
A major investment in local parks is coming to communities across Texas after state leaders approved a record-breaking round of funding. The Texas Park and Wildlife Commission is awarding more than $21 million to cities and counties to help improve outdoor spaces, with local government matching half of the cost. Victoria is among the recipients, securing more than $357,000 for upgrades at Meadowlane Park. The project will focus on improving play areas, sports courts, and overall park safety, with new lighting, walkways, updated amenities planned for the site.
Well, I don't know if too many people would be going to the park today. I mean, it was a nice day, but it was a little windy, a little chilly.
Yeah, but they might go to the park tomorrow.
No, they might.
They might.
I mean, we'll have to check in on the weather, so I think that's a good time to check in with Trey Mining, who might let us know if it's good park weather tomorrow. Trey?
Exactly. I think tomorrow afternoon will probably be a good park day. Here, a little bit of a heads up, and it could be, well, more than likely continuing after that. But not tonight, though, not early tomorrow morning. We're well into the 20s again. Freeze warnings in effect. Already 35 degrees, so the temperature is falling rather rapidly in the dry conditions and the light winds we're having. So once again, bundling up, freeze warning in effect for all the counties you see here. It includes Victoria County, parts of Calhoun as well, northeast and southwest of Victoria County as well. Any rain anytime soon. How warm will the temperatures get? I think it's about time for a warm up, and we're definitely going to be seeing that. We'll give the details coming up a little bit later on in the full forecast to come. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Trey. Well, a close call for a truck driver in North Carolina after a train crashed into this driver's vehicle. This happened in Gastonia, a city some 23 miles west of Charlotte on Saturday. Snow was falling at the time of the crash. Police say the driver managed to escape his truck before the train slammed into it on the tracks. No one, fortunately, was hurt.
And new details about a mass shooting at a Mardi Gras parade in Clinton, Louisiana, in the southeastern part of the state. This happened Saturday just as the parade got underway. The gunfire struck 5 people, including a 6-year-old child. No word on their condition. The sheriff of East Feliciana Parish said organizers stopped the parade immediately. Authorities arrested 3 people. It's unclear what sparked the gun violence. The sheriff's office is under an investigation.
A routine school drop-off in San Antonio turned into a nightmare for one family.
And a 10-year-old girl recovering after being shot during an alleged road rage incident while riding in her parents' van.
In the middle of a crime scene, but toward the back of a van, is a memory Jason Gates would prefer to forget. A bullet hole through the door near the seat where his 10-year-old daughter had been sitting.
So she got shot right here. And I kept telling my wife, I said, babe, you need to pull over.
The family called for help before 7:30 in the morning from this parking lot near Bandera and Callahan Roads. Gates says his daughter, who he identified as Elisa Gates, was hit by a bullet fired by someone in another car at another location. He says that car had suddenly pulled out in front of them near Wurzbach Road and Timber Hill.
My wife was on the horn, but she was on the horn no more than 3 seconds.
Apparently that was long enough to anger the person in the other car, who fired the shot without the family fully realizing it at first. Even before he noticed this bullet hole, Gates says he started to get an inkling that something had happened. He started smelling gunpowder.
My wife looks at my daughter and says, hey, did you get shot? My daughter says no.
They soon found out she had in fact suffered what San Antonio police called a life-threatening gunshot wound. What was supposed to be a usual drop-off at school for Gates' daughter ended with her in surgery at a hospital. While he has high hopes for her recovery, he says the van's days are numbered.
I told my wife, I said, so how are we going to do it? We got a bullet hole inside of the car. She goes, I don't want the car no more.
They'd like to see it and the bad memories of this day disappear.
Police made an arrest in connection with the shooting. The 41-year-old suspect is facing several charges, including aggravated assault for reckless discharge and a firearm. It's unclear if the suspect was the shooter.
Now, one state group is stepping up locally to make homes more accessible for residents with movement limitations. Today, the group was near Raisin in Victoria County, helping put together a ramp for a woman struggling with health issues. Her family contacted the Texas Ramp Project through Citizens Hospital, hoping to make it easier for her to enter and leave the home. Her daughter, Cheryl Brown, says the new addition to her home will help improve her mother's quality of life and allow her to exercise and improve her health by walking up and down the length of the ramp.
We couldn't get her down the steps, and now we can wheelchair her down there. We'll be able to get her down. Plus, what else is a plus is mine is so big that she can exercise now. And he said that he would start on it at the end of January, and by golly, he was true to his word. And they're doing a great job, and they're super kind. Yeah, and they haven't asked us for any money or anything.
Brown says the family plans on donating to the Ramp Project to pay the kindness forward. Victoria North leader Mark Quartercrack says they are always looking for volunteers to assist with supporting residents in need. Those interested in volunteering can reach out to Mark at 361-799-9098.
And for more local news, content, weather, and sports, come to our website at crossroadstoday.com.
And if you see news happening, let us know. Call the number on your screen to contact our newsroom or email us your tips at staff@crossroadstoday.com.
Coming up, a partial government shutdown caused by efforts to limit immigration enforcement actions next.
Let's take a review of the day. 51 degrees was the high this afternoon. Low temperature, pretty much where we are right now, 31 degrees. Well, below normal for a normal high and normal low. No rain as yet. Rain chances are in the forecast somewhat. The big story is the warm up. I'm sure you're happy about that. The details coming up a little bit later on in the full forecast.
Welcome back. Nationwide debate over immigration crackdown now contributing to a partial government shutdown. Overnight, senators passing a bipartisan package of funding bills, but removing extended funding from Homeland Security.
Now, this leaves lawmakers 2 weeks to negotiate potential reforms to immigration enforcement operations. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang.
Tonight, a partial government shutdown kicking off the fight over federal immigration enforcement. Democrats pushing for new restrictions after the killing of Alex Preddy and Renee Good in Minneapolis. The Senate deal passed Friday night and backed by President Trump strips Homeland Security funding out of the broader package, giving DHS 2 weeks of funding to allow time for negotiations. Democrat demands include ending roving patrols by federal agents, holding agents to the same use of force standards as state and local police, prohibiting them from wearing masks, and requiring body cameras. But Republicans already pushing back.
Are you on board more broadly with what Democrats are asking for here when it comes to reining in federal immigration agents?
No, I mean, look, the body cameras is something that everybody embraces. The masking is to protect law enforcement. They're being doxxed and attacked and followed around and maligned.
The House returns Monday night, the Speaker telling me this partial government shutdown won't last long. But tonight, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats will not help Republicans fast-track this funding bill.
If we're contemplating a 2-week freeze in order to get us to a place where we can see dramatic change, we want to understand that there's an ironclad path forward to get those things done.
If this drags on, federal workers could miss paychecks and travelers could see delays at airports. But some parts of the government are already funded through the fall, including food assistance programs like SNAP and WIC. Selena Wang, ABC News, Washington.
A sad day has come to Massachusetts. The U.S. Coast Guard has stopped searching for 7 crew members after their fishing boat, the Lily Jean, sank off the coast. Crews searched all day Friday after an emergency signal was sent from the boat. Officials said the search was very dangerous. One person was found dead, but the other crew members are still missing. Authorities are trying to find out what caused the boat to sink.
More than 30 people have been killed by Israeli forces in Gaza this Saturday, despite a shaky ceasefire being in place. That's according to Palestinian health officials who say the incidents happened in Gaza City and southern Gaza. The victims included 6 children as well as 7 members of the same family who were living in a tent after being displaced. Israel's military still carries out strikes in Gaza, accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire. The Israel Defense Forces said the strikes were launched against Hamas and Islamic Jihad targets across the Gaza Strip in response to the, quote, violation of the ceasefire agreement Friday.
Now to the dangerous weather. 27 million Americans on alert for snow in the southeast and more than 175 million facing a brutal Arctic blast. The snow is getting heavier in the Carolinas with the gusty wind. Some areas near the coast could see whiteout conditions.
Yes, the severe weather is also causing major travel disruptions. More than 2,000 flights canceled today. There's also a coastal flooding threat for the southeast. ABC's Christiane Cordero has more from Virginia Beach.
Tonight, another powerful winter storm slamming the east. Snow blanketing parts of the Carolinas as residents from Georgia to Maryland battle wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. Places not used to this kind of weather. Virginia Beach is among those under a winter storm warning.
We don't see a lot of snow here, so really it's about 3 or 4 days of almost around the clock prep work.
The 1-2 punch of winter weather causing dangerous driving conditions through the weekend. More than 2,000 flights canceled today. Delta's Atlanta hub heavily impacted, and American canceling all of its flights out of its Charlotte hub. In Winston-Salem, the weather forcing NASCAR to postpone the Cookout Clash race, and life-threatening cold is expected to impact some 160 million Americans, with sub-freezing temperatures stretching as far south as Orlando and Houston. Tennessee still cleaning up from the last storm. Tens of thousands still without power in the Nashville area, with temperatures remaining below freezing.
They're cutting things off of the power lines and anything that's hanging.
The bitter cold continues to grip the Northeast. New York City and Philadelphia approaching their longest stretch of days below freezing in 8 years. And on the West Coast, a much different story. Foggy conditions may have contributed to a pileup involving dozens of vehicles in Delano, outside of Bakersfield. 10 people hurt. The road closed for hours. The plows are ready to go here in Virginia Beach. Temperatures are in the 20s, which is very unusual. The normal high this time of year is in the 50s. And the last time the city experienced a prolonged cold snap like this was in 2018. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Virginia Beach.
Experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. Stream our daily newscasts and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today Plus on your Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Search Crossroads Today Plus.
Temperatures getting close to the freezing mark around the entire area currently. Dropping rather rapidly, still continuing to see that through the early morning hours on Sunday. How cold will it get? More importantly, perhaps, about the warm-up we're expecting. We'll talk about that coming up next in the full forecast. And good evening, everyone. Trey Mining here. And what a cold evening it is. Temperature is getting close to the freezing mark already, a little bit after 10 o'clock. And probably hitting that coming up by about 11, 12 midnight for sure. In the 20s by the time you wake up early tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at the current temperatures around the area in the mid-30s, pretty much area wide. And pretty consistent with that as we go north of Austin, Dallas, Abilene, Lubbock, and Amarillo. Warm spot, if you call it that, down in the valley, of course, they're still in the 40s. So chilly no matter where you go in the Lone Star State. Northern winds keeping that cool, dry air in. And we'll see the temperatures continuing to fall. Currently, we're about 35 degrees. And they'll be nearing the freezing mark or just under that coming up by about 11, 12 midnight for sure. And in the 20s by the time you wake up early tomorrow morning by about 6 a.m., 7 a.m. or so. It's going to be the low temperature. But notice the temperature is rising rather rapidly with more sunshine again for your day tomorrow, getting near or topping 60 or maybe a little bit over that. Coming up for the daytime highs about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on your Sunday. I sure hope, glad to see that. I think we need to warm up here, and that's certainly going to happen. High pressure dominating our weather here, keeping the winds light, the skies clear, and the humidity level is rather low. That's the primary ingredients needed for radiational cooling. That's exactly what's happening currently on the outside. This high pressure will begin to move to the east, coming up for your day tomorrow in the afternoon. Allowing more of a southerly flow means a bit of a warm up, but also allow the next frontal system to get closer to us and move through by about Tuesday or so. And there should be enough moisture, I think, build up at that time for maybe a few rain showers on your day Tuesday. Now the front on Tuesday, by the way, is not coming down from the north, not an Arctic front, moving in from the west, more milder air. Cools down a little bit, but keeping us more or less pretty much at or above normal, maybe, for the temperatures coming up for the majority of the work week. We'll show that to you here momentarily in the 7-day. It will mostly clear tonight, so no worries there, no precipitation at all. We'll keep it on the sunny side for your day tomorrow and for the next few days after that, and except for maybe on Tuesday with that front moving through and some rain shower activity. Waking up tomorrow morning in Port Lavaca, probably right at 32 degrees. A little bit of frosty conditions. Sunny skies for the rest of the time period. Highs near 60 degrees by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well into the 20s by 6 a.m. With sunny skies the rest of the day. Nice day. And temperatures will be about 60 degrees there as well by about 3 o'clock. Victoria, pretty much the same, 20s early tomorrow morning. So definitely a good freeze coming up for tonight. Sunny skies the rest of the time period. Highs near 60 degrees. Sunny skies, enjoy that. And that'll be the case after our freezing conditions coming up early tomorrow morning. Highs in 60s, maybe topping 70 for Monday. Few rain showers on Tuesday. Then sunny skies continue after that through the weekend. Highs in the 60s and 70s, looking forward to that. Lows 50s and 60s to maybe a few 40s coming up after the front moves through on Wednesday and Thursday. Stay warm out there, my friends. Let's take a look at the this right here. This is the QR code. Get your smartphone, scan the code. You see right there, that'll take you to a web page. You can download our app. News, weather, and sports at your fingertips. Very easy, convenient to have on your phone, and it's free of charge to have on your phone as well. Speaking of sports, here's the man with the plan. That's Ray Robinson.
Thank you, Trey. The Tidehaven girls basketball team is back on track after a tough stretch. Hear from the players about their hunger to bounce back and better communication driving their success. Don't miss it. Coming up next. The Tidehaven girls basketball team is closing out their regular season strong, once again proving why they are one of the top teams in the Crossroads. And just like Coach Wagner said in our 6 p.m. newscast, it's all about controlling the controllables. Now get ready to hear from the players themselves as they reveal how their fire to bounce back from a tough 2-game skid has fueled better communication and even bigger improvements on the court.
Proud of my team, coming back after 2 losses. It was difficult because, we should have won those games, but at the end of the day, we bounced back. We did what we know how to do.
I mean, we had a great talk with Coach Wagner, and I think we just came out way hungrier than before.
I hope to get better at communication and being more positive, because lately I've been struggling with my positivity and lack of communication. So I just want to get better and improve on all of that, just to help out with my team and not disappoint my coach.
A&M Victoria softball is kicking off their season today under the A&M moniker. The youth at the Youth Sports Complex, they were playing a series of games against Houston Tillinson, with the Jaguars dominating the first game with a final score of 18-0. The second game of the series wrapped up, and the women once again dominated on the defensive side of the ball. In the bottom of the first inning, they erupted with 3 runs and went on to win the game. Final score 9-0. The 3-1 at the time A&M Victoria baseball team is off to a strong start here in Victoria as well. Things are looking good at Riverside as the Jaguars. For the Jaguars, after a 5-2 win last night over Wiley, the momentum carried into today's games with a 4-run eruption in the bottom of the second inning for Game 2 as they kept control of the game and going on to win Game 2. Final score 9-2. The third and final game of the series was a nail-biter, but a walk-off run by Connor Kaiser sealing the victory and completing the sweep. Final score 7-6. Here's a word from Coach Stavanoa.
You know, in the weekend with 3 wins, 4 wins on the week, and 5 in a row now, and you know, not that we foresaw it going there that last game, but you know, you grind it out and do what you can to get the win in the end and end up walking it off in extras. We've got to execute a little better at the end, throw strikes. We got to get ahead, come out of the pen ready to go, and you know, we definitely could have done a better job there and sealed the deal earlier, but it's, you know, good to get out with the win in the end. So.
And the 10th-ranked Houston Cougars took on Cincinnati in a Big 12 conference matchup, and it was a dominant game on the inside for the Cougars as they just made their presence felt early and often. And after a missed 3-pointer by Emmanuel Sharp, a series of offensive rebounds and deflections gave freshman sensation Kingston Flemings the ball back for a clutch 3-pointer. Flemings finished with just 7 points, while Uzan led the Cougars in scoring with 16 points. Houston secured the victory with a final score of 76-54. The Cougars will host the University of Central Florida on Wednesday. But that does it for your sports. Amaya and Trenton.
Thank you, Ray. Coming up, how long will winter last this year? We'll check in with a furry friend with some more insight.
Millions of Americans are hoping a furry little forecaster can offer a glimpse of spring. Punxsutawney Phil, Pennsylvania is gearing up for Groundhog Day, celebrated at Gobbler's Knob since 1887. Visitors enjoyed live music, warm drinks, and groundhog-themed souvenirs despite single-digit wind chills and snow on the ground. And many are hoping the groundhog won't see a shadow Monday, which, according to tradition, would mean an early spring. Executive Director of the Groundhog Club says last year's event drew more than 52,000 visitors. Well, I don't know if I believe that groundhog. But
y'all don't believe in the groundhog?
I don't believe in the groundhog. I don't.
If it sees shadow, then
Punxsutawney Phil.
What? Come on. You know, it's a tradition. Well, I won't say tradition in my household, but my grandma always say, if that groundhog see his shadow one more time, Was it going to be longer?
Yeah, well,
So,
let's take our forecaster and let's his forecast.
Trey, I
instead
have
of
a question to ask you, and I
Sure.
said I was going to ask you this. Do you think the groundhog is better than you when it comes to
Ooh,
weather?
I tell you what, I'm better than the groundhog. I tell you, at least I got the inside information here. For us here, it's cold tonight, freeze warning in effect, warmer next week. Look forward to that.
Yes, so thank you for joining us.